Welcome to the D Post for All Season Sports Show. I'm Drew Rubenstein here again with Fred Wyant. And Fred, a couple weeks ago there was an interesting discussion among the U.S. senators, hearing discussing the state of the NCAA, and really as I read stories about it and saw some of the clips from that hearing, it just brought to mind of how this isn't a new issue. The kind of the uneasy feelings that a lot of people have of the NCAA really dates back decades. I mean, I remember talking to former WVU coach Don Nealon a couple years ago, and he remembered some of the more successful coaches at bigger programs in the late 70s and early 80s telling him this is the direction things are headed. They're going to ultimately be these so-called power conferences, and the ones who are left out are going to be, in a different playing field, and the big schools are going to want to kind of break away from everybody else. And sure enough, that's the road that we've gone down. And I guess the first thing that strikes me is just that we saw it coming down this direction, and a lot of people don't seem entirely happy with the end product when you have Maryland in the Big Ten and West Virginia in the Big 12. But still, the root cause, I think, was what happened decades ago to get here, and not necessarily a poor decision in the moment. And interested in your thoughts, just as you've thought about the hearing.
Well, we packed the field house 30, or the field down the town. Didn't make any difference who we played. Mm-hmm. When we were here, there was 30-some thousand there. Now there's 50,000, maybe, and that's probably being a little generous. So people came. They came to watch those games. There were a lot of things that are different. The uniforms. I read in the paper the other day that the uniforms, now the kids won't come, they won't be recruited unless they're going to have 17 different uniforms. We had two.
Right.
We had the same trousers and a navy blue shirt or a mustard colored shirt. That was it. When we came out on the field, people didn't guess who it was. I mean, now you have to know who some of these teams
right.
are, because you can't distinguish them. They have so many uniforms. And is that a necessary expense? I don't know.
Yeah. Going back to the conference portion, which was discussed among the U.S. senators, and you got the sense that they still didn't quite understand why things have happened the way they did. And I guess that brings up a discussion that seems to keep coming up in West Virginia, and that's the move to the Big 12. And my take since day one has kind of been that I don't blame WVU for making the move to the Big 12, and given the circumstances, I think it probably was the right decision, just because the Big East was crumbling. There were no indications that the ACC was going to come calling. That said, it's not an ideal situation to see West Virginia away from all of its natural rivals. Is nobody wants to see that. Everybody would prefer to see WVU with Pitt and the Virginia schools and all of that. But it was more of a broken system for decades that led to that point, and so that's where I place the blame, and not with the WVU leadership for making a decision that ultimately it needed to.
What do you think Don Nealon made when he was coaching here?
His very first year?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
Probably less than 100,000. I mean, a fraction of what Dana Holgerson
made, 12,000.
Yeah.
And I know what Corum made. He made 16. So now let's go back to this. It had to be changed, mm-hmm. because we packed the place downtown all the time. People came in. Now what they did was they take it and they give somebody who's a brand new, never coached before, full time, pay them more than they pay the leading professor and doctor on campus.
Probably combined.
Yeah, combined, all of them put together. Sure. And we still didn't,
right.
don't win what they want to. So we had a system, we had people, and the other thing is, when they talk about making money, they've got to make money to do what? I see the volleyball team's going to be on TV. Sorry, the volleyball team, but they're going to be on TV twice.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, that's you say, well, we should. Well, they've got that. But they've got a lot of other sports now too, mm-hmm. and things Do we need them all? I don't know. They don't make money. I mean, you're going to be carried, if you're going to be carried by one sport, and
yeah, no, I think you bring up a variety of points there that we could get into, and ultimately what is the point of the athletic department making more money, and I think it would be partially the fund all the other sports, and I do think there's a place, and I do think certain sports have grown in popularity, but also the experience and offering the opportunities, and that should be part of the university standpoint. But I get the other point of what you're making when you look at all of the other infrastructure and how they're spending the money, and ultimately going back to what is the role of a university, and is it to somehow coexist with what college athletics has become, and honestly I don't know that those are two worlds that should coexist.
Yeah, it's just strange because the more they get, the more they spend.
Right.
You know, whatever happened to let's set aside something for a rainy day? You know, it may come along, and
it's about keeping up with the Jones. You gotta there's the
you have to do that. But as they try to keep up with the Joneses, they lose more of our Smiths and more of those people because they can't come.
Right.
Can't afford $20 to go to a basketball game to park the car, stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting because we're just entering year 3 of the Big 12, and what this is going to look like, what this is going to mean in 10, 15, 20 years. Where's WVU's place going to be in the Big 12? Are they going to be able to rise up and compete with the Texas and Oklahomas, or are they going to fall down and be with the bottom of the league? And I think there are a lot of things that will affect the identity and kind of the connection that they have to the state will depend on the success that they have in the Big 12.
And being fair, and the things that that they have gone now, that you have competition, and when you take a look at the organization here, they ended up with the same amount of money. If you take the thing and give them all the little perks that they gave the new people that are coming in, it just doesn't make sense. People want to go to a game. They don't want to sit down in the front row and listen to, and drink wine or whatever, something like that. They want to go watch a good basketball game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, Fred, a lot of interesting points here, and appreciate your time once again. And please continue to check thedpost.com for the latest on the Mountaineers. Thanks again, Fred.
Okay.